So I'm joined by Dean and Cletus, and we're going to go through the Premier League preview show today. So we'll start with top four. Do you want to hit it off, Cletus?
Yeah, most definitely. So my top four, I hope is not too controversial. So my Premier League winners are Manchester City. I believe they can do a back-to-back because it's just a good team. And the performance last season, good performance. Added, Big Jack in that team. I think he's going to, be a good addition for them. To be fair, he's going to do really good things for them. But I say, if they do add Harry Kane, it gives them over the edge. I'm not too sure, but I'm fairly confident. On City we retain the title. And second on my list, Manchester United. I feel like the squad is a good squad. It's just how they're going to gel together. That midfield is a little bit shaky. Obviously McTominay and Fred, they don't have the best of partnership. All United fans would say, but I still think, and even United fans that say, Pogba is not playing up to scratch, I believe that. But at the end of the day, I still think Pobbs is a good footballer. But it's just a weird one. A guy can perform okay, consistently with his country, but when it comes to his club football, he's just a total different player. But I feel like he's just till now at his age, he doesn't know where to play, what style of play he should be playing. Is it a box to box? Is it a deep line in? Is it just a general midfielder? He doesn't know himself. So if a manager try putting him in different positions and it doesn't work, what else can the manager do than the player just say, just go out there and perform? And if you're not performing, you're gonna face those sort of scrutinies. But up top, the big addition, in defense and in the right wing as well, you could say, give them that sort of missing holes, fill those sort of missing holes that United's been needing for quite a long time. So um, we'll see. We'll see. Coming on to Chelsea, I put them second. Um, Over Liverpool is going to be my fourth. But I'll just say this for Chelsea, right? Last season performance was very good performance. Getting the Champions League, Tuchel coming in, turning things around. I don't think Lampard was a bad manager, but he wasn't going the direction they wanted. They wanted to win the league, and they were just slipping down the cracks. So, Tuchel came in, changed everything up. I'd like to see what you guys think about Chelsea and the new addition of Lukaku. I think Lukaku is going to come in and he's going to have one revenge on his time at United and some of his doubters as well. You could still say Lukaku's touch is bad, but can he score goals? Most definitely can score goals. He's got 100 Premier League goals, so he can definitely score goals. And moving on to Liverpool, what I put him in fourth is because, when me and Dean was having this conversation about, teams and just general conversation, and he mentioned the players are getting older, and I think it's a fair point, but it's still really, really good players. Van Dijk coming back from a horrific injury. We're gonna see how they're gonna play. So it's gonna be not a new dynamic, but it's gonna see that can they get back to old ways? Can they get back to that Liverpool that everyone feared? Everyone just the style of football was so good, people were scared of them. But I don't know if they can strike that same sort of fear in the league, but I think they can. But I don't know. Not too sure. That's my top four. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with, well, at least the top four there. Slightly different order for me, but I think a lot of it just depends on how it all will look like at the end of this transfer window.
Oh yeah.
We could move on to Dean then, if you want to give us yours.
I've got sort of about 75% the same order in that top four as Cletus did. I mean, City at number one. I don't really know how you can compete properly with a squad that's stacked with that talent. If you're going to add two of the standout players in a country that's got to a European Championship final for the first time in 55 years, I mean, you've got the talent's already there from last year. The 21 game win streak to win the league title, I think, is a pretty amazing achievement anyway. To then add to that with even more talent, it makes it a whole lot harder for the teams that are meant to be challenging for the title. It does help when you've got a near limitless amount of money to spend, but if you've got that privilege, I think you should be utilising it the way they are. I think if Harry Kane goes to City, I think it's a game changer. I think it takes them a level above what they're currently playing at. To get a striker that's coming into his peak now, how old is he now? 27, 28?
28, I think.
I remember when Aguero was that age, and he was piling up the numbers, he was piling up the stats, the goals. To get someone like Harry Kane, I don't think Pep Guardiola's ever had a striker at City that's been in the peak of his career. He's had Aguero at the tail end, and he's had Jesus that isn't at that level. So to get someone that can fire them in, if he can integrate them into the squad, then I think it's going to be very, very dangerous. And I think it's probably going to be a different City team on the eye than it would be usually, but it's going to be more efficient. And I think they're going to get close to a late 90 points, maybe even break 100 points again. The only change I've got for cleats to the top four is I've got Chelsea in second rather than United. Okay. I mean, they're the champions of Europe currently, so that's obviously an achievement that they should be sharing. I think the only weakness they had was a striker that scores goals and someone that's got that sort of lethal finishing ability. I think if they bring Lukaku back to the Prem, I think, like Clear said, I think he's got a point to prove. He's never won the Premier League before. I think at United he was probably sold the dream of trying to get to the heights that they once had. I think Chelsea are probably more equipped to do that than United are. So I think that's probably the final piece of that jigsaw that Chelsea needed. I think if they can perform to the same levels and have a start to the season that they didn't have last year, then I think they can really challenge. Whether it will be enough to take City all the way remains to be seen. But I do think they've got a very strong squad already. To then add to that with a strong piece as well, I think should probably get them into second place. I've gone United for third. I think they've strengthened more than they were expected to. I think the Glazers sort of hash of a strategy when it comes to recruitment, bringing people in, has sort of dampened the expectations of fans over the years. So when you do actually get a transfer window where they've acted somewhat reasonable and efficient, and it looks like they've actually got a plan where they know what they're doing, I think it's caught everyone by surprise. I think Sancho was 12 months in the making. He does solve a gap on that right-hand side, so I think that the attack that United can use, I think, is a bit more balanced, because I know they're very sort of heavily attacking on the left side. They're heavily reliant on that left side to attack, especially when Luke Shaw's overlapping. That's usually their main outlet for attacking. I think if you can get a winger on the right-hand side, I think it provides balance and an alternative avenue as well. I think Varane at the back, I think, is probably going to be the most effective acquisition for United. I mean, it feels like they've been needing a centre back that's strong and reliant for nigh on like 7 years now. So I think to get Maguire the partner that he needs, I think the back four looks more solid than it has done probably since Ferguson's left. So I think they can be relatively strong. Again, it's whether they can stay with the likes of City and Chelsea and whether they can actually challenge for the title, because if they don't, I think I think United fans are going to see this season as a failure if they don't go close to it. But I don't know. There's something that just tells me that Chelsea they've got more of the bit between their teeth. I think they'll pip United second. I don't think there's going to be a lot in it, but I think Chelsea will just get it over the line. And then Liverpool in fourth. I think Liverpool are going to struggle. I think they've got a real problem with not freshening up their team. I think it's important to freshen up the team every year just to get a bit of uniqueness, a bit of newness and variety in there. And I think they could suffer the same squad syndrome that Tottenham did under Pochettino, where they kept the main group of players, they didn't really add to it, and it just sort of fell apart in the end because they just couldn't sustain the level of performance that fans expected. I mean, they had an absolute injury crisis last year. They haven't really added a lot. I know Kanate is coming from Leipzig. I think Harvey Elliott's going to be a squad player for Liverpool for the first time since they're going from Fulham. But apart from that, they haven't really strengthened. Ideally, you'd have wanted to have seen at least two come into that first 11. And they've still got the same problem of having about 13 or 14 players that are capable of playing at a high title winning level. They haven't really got a full bench, or let alone an 11 that City have got on the bench. They can rotate two squads and not really lose quality. Liverpool, they've got 14 players, but apart from that, they lose out a bit when you're sticking the likes of Divock Origi and Minamino on, and they're not at that level. So I don't know. I think they'll get Champions League. I think the top four will sort of be in a league of its own. I think between fourth and fifth, I think there's going to be a bit of a gulf this year because I think those four teams are far and away stronger than the rest. But I think it'll probably be in that order. But I mean, it's an unknown quantity. I think with these four teams, I think they could come in any order underneath City. But I'd probably go for that.
Yeah, I think that is a good analysis. I'll go through mine quickly. So I actually think I won't bet my house on this, but I'm going with the outside chance that Chelsea will finish first. I think with Lukaku coming in, I think they might get a Kunde, and they could even add maybe someone else near the end of the window and just surprise us. I think this is solely based on Tuchel being exceptional and maybe just grinding out the results throughout the seasons rather than maybe battering everyone and beating City, beating all the top teams. I think if you just get some good results against the top teams, get some draws against City or some wins, they could just edge them out. But I think it will be tough. City I've put in second because they are favourites. They won last year. They might add Kane and they've already added Grealish, so some big players, and it's hard to overlook them. But sometimes what's on paper doesn't always turn out to be true. But obviously they would be the favourites. They've got so many good players: Foden, De Bruyne, and the list goes on. I put United third because obviously they've got Sancho, Varane. I think they could bring in a third player, probably Neves or Trippier. And I think that could give them a good chance of improving. And because they finished second last year, I definitely think they could get third this year. But I think it does depend on coaching with Ollie. If he plays Fred McTominay again, that's definitely not going to happen. But if he does something more unique, something a bit more adventurous, I think he definitely could get third or even higher if it goes really well. Fourth, Liverpool. I think they could stagnate with this squad. It's not been refreshed for years. I mean, the last big change is Alisson and Van Dijk, and that's even a few years ago now. I mean, they can obviously reach a high level. We've seen it. If Trent gets back, Van Dijk gets back, they can do very well. But we're going to see. I think so. That is my top four. I think it could interchange a lot, though. I think a lot of that could depend on the transfer window, and also coaching will be a huge part of that.
I do have a question. Obviously, me and Cleats have gone for City to win the league, probably at a canter, judging by the way that Cleats spoke as well. So you've gone for Chelsea. What would be, if you had to put one reason as to why you think Chelsea could beat City to the title this year, what would it be?
Lukaku and the manager, even if that's two reasons. But I think what he's done with a squad that he hasn't been able to change yet, when he gets his players in, the wins against City, if he gets 2 wins against City in the season, that's 6 points, and that can be big. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, but if he continues the way he was going, he could edge some of the big decisions. He could edge out some of the big games of City, and that could be a huge advantage over the season.
Okay.
So that's fair. But I'm still not sure about Chelsea though. The defense is good. Once you have Thiago Silva in there, you've got experience to guide the youngsters in. Rudiger as well. He's experienced as well. Got a good goalkeeper in there. Got a great midfielder. Kante. But as well, I mean, the manager got to really utilize the players that they got on the wings, midfielders, to supply Lukaku the goals, because we all know Lukaku feed on the through balls, the crossings, because he's not there. He's not going to be a Harry Kane and carry the ball, run with it. He can run with the ball, but he needs that. He needs to be supplied the ball. So we see.
I think the point is, I'd say, is we saw how many chances Werner missed. I mean, he has literally near 10-minute compilations from Chelsea in one season somehow. And I think if you got Lukaku there instead, that could have made a lot of difference in a lot of games. And to win the Champions League with a striker who's not great and doesn't score many goals, and to change that team around in the middle of the season who were just, on the way to being fifth, sixth sort of position. That right mix of Lukaku having a good striker and that good coaching could just be enough. But I think it will go down to like the sort of last few weeks if that happens anyway. So I think it'll be a 2-horse race if that happens either way. So obviously not ruling out City, and also won't be surprised if they won.
And also, I've seen that all of us have all put Liverpool in fourth. So it sort of shows that, a couple of seasons ago, we wouldn't even think about putting Liverpool that
I
low.
guess the thing is, it's the same sort of team it was 4 years ago. That's the thing. If they added a top quality player each year since then, it could be different. But we are seeing the same players. It's Trent, it's Van Dijk, it's Alisson, it's Firmino, it's Mane, it's Salah. It's the same sort of team with a few changes. It's if that team can keep going, even without it evolving.
Don't you have a feeling that team's peaks though, and that they're coming on the downward now?
No, I don't think so.
It's hard to know because obviously the injuries were so severe. I mean, you can't discount that. They weren't too far behind as well by the end of the season, so you don't know. I mean, Van Dijk was obviously huge for them, so they could come back and they could finish second, but you're expecting them to return to prime form before that Champions League win, the league win, that sort of form, to be doing that again.
I mean, I don't. This happened with, like I said, with Pochettino's Tottenham, where it weren't even just like the core of the squad; it was the same 9, 10 out of 11 players.
Yeah, but
that were playing for a total of about 4 seasons.
Pochettino,
right?
He didn't win anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Liverpool are like a better version of this team, where they've got the same 9 or 10 players. I think they're coming into sort of their 4th season, I think now, where they've got this team unit molded. Now, last year they had a massive injury crisis because of the intensity of their play. It all caught up with them, and it caught up with the majority of that first 11 at some point with big injuries. Now, if Jurgen Klopp's not going to change the way he plays, and everything suggests that he's not, and they haven't freshened the squad up, what level can they perform at, and how high are they going to get in the table?
The same level they used to win the league and the Champions League.
I don't agree.
Because I'm not. The thing for me is I can't doubt when a team has won with those group of players and they've stayed the way they were. You know what I mean? I can't. You can doubt them when they're hitting that. They're in their 30s. All the players are in their 30s. You know what I mean? How old is Trent? Trent's of what, 23? How old is Robertson? What, 25? Van Dijk is like 28. This is still quite fairly fresh players, quite young players. Yeah, they've been run out, because of Klopp's style of play. But
and also his insistence on playing the same players game after game after game, the game load that Robertson, Salah, Mane have got is a lot. And
it is a lot.
He hasn't rotated squad enough, and that's got to be a contributory cause to the injury backlog that they had last year, which effectively cost them a title challenge.
Of course, but the level of play, you could talk about fatigue and what you just said, but in terms of playing to that level consistently, they can do that. You know what I mean? But
yeah, they can.
They can do that. So for me, I struggle to really doubt them because they got that plays and they can do that. It's just having that rotation. That's why City is so good. That's why for me, City is a no-brainer to sort of get it, retain the title, because I was looking on Twitter and I saw the starting 11. I saw the starting bench. The starting bench can easily win the league. Not easily, but can really compete for the league. So because they got that rotation, it gives them that edge. You know what I mean? So rotation is so important in football these days, because if you're playing the same players every single game, you know what I mean? It's like so like we were talking about, Barcelona played that Pedri played 72 games. He looked burnt out. You know what I mean? When we said when Rooney came up, Rooney played a lot of games, and when he got to his later years, he sort of slowed down a bit.
I think you've kind of proven my point there, Cletus, to be honest.
Yeah.
Liverpool Klopp's very reluctant to sort of rotate his squad too much, too drastically in games when he could do, and also the fact that Liverpool have really only got 14 players that you consider Premier League title worthy, when you've got players like, no disrespect, but Minamino and Divock Origi and Xherdan Shaqiri, when you've got these players that are on the bench, and then you've got players like Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, Ferran Torres, Jack Grealish. Do you know what I mean? There's a different class.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that there. But I think overall Liverpool is one that could go one way or the other, I think. But we will see. So we move on to the Europa League spots, the big one, the 5th and 6th. So who have you got for that, Cletus?
Right. You know what? I've put Leicester in there. Leicester. I mean, you got to look at what the manager's done since when he came to Leicester, and just the improvement. We said Maddison. You know, we always talk about Maddison, good player but not focused, flashy. You know, is he elite? Can he be consistently be elite? You know, look at Jamie Vardy. He can score goals. You know, with Jamie Vardy's known for scoring goals, and he's still doing it at his age. You know, they've gone in to get Daka as well. So they're going to bring in some key additions in, and I feel like that's going to give them the edge. And the way they play as well, you know, it sort of shows. Iheanacho, you know, people said, oh, you know, is a City flop, but he came up, he was scoring goals for them. So he's a young player that, you know, give them that edge as well. You know, when Vardy ain't scoring, maybe when Dak is a bit taking his time to get used to the league, you got that player there. And even Maddison, as much as, you know, we can say he should be making his, you know, he should be making a mark, pushing to be starting for England. Maddison is a top player. But if he leaves, I mean, can we, you know, he was the main force for them getting where they got last season. So if he leaves, you know, to Arsenal, I hope not. I mean, don't go to. Sorry, I don't want to be too controversial with Arsenal, you know. But if he leaves, but who? I mean, who know where Leicester's going to be? You know what I mean? So, but I think Leicester's a good team. Leicester's a very, very good team. And moving on to sixth position, I've just gone in and I put Arsenal in there. No matter how much we can say Arsenal is not a big club anymore, um, I still feel like Arsenal, with the level of players that they got, the mixture of veterans and youth, and the young manager who's still figuring his way out, he's still getting his feet a bit wet, you know, in the business of managing a big football club and being on a hot seat with fans who are constantly putting him under pressure as well, with a board that is like slightly blacking him. I feel like Arsenal can do bits, you know. I just feel like Arsenal can really push for something, you know, no matter how much we might say Arsenal are flop, because they are flop. You know what? I don't like the fans. I don't like the fans, but hey, it's football's football, eh? But yeah, that's my list.
It's
Um,
interesting that you've gone for Leicester in fifth place again, which basically means that for 3 years in a row, they will just miss out on the Champions League places again.
Because they're good. They're good, man. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I've gone for the same. I've gone for them
Exactly.
finishing fifth. Like I know when you were speaking about Kelechi and Nacho, I mean, you get the actual. I thought last year was his breakout year, really, in
Mm,
terms of him as a player. I mean, he got more goals than Jamie Vardy did last year. So that question mark, there was always that insistence on Jamie Vardy to score and to be that focal point, right? Well,
yeah.
with Iheanacho there now, if he can keep performing and he can keep improving, then do you know what I mean? I think he can help Leicester to kick on. I think Patson Daka, I think that's a really exciting signing for him.
I know. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I agree.
Leicester have got they've got a knack for finding a diamond in the rough, bringing them through, getting them into the Premier League, and then actually really making a difference. So I think for me, Daka's ones to look out for. Boubakary Samare as well. He won the Liga with Lille. To win Liga and not be at PSG, you've got to be part of a strong team to do that. So Samare could go either way, but I think he can add to a squad. Um, I think there's kind of an unfinished project feel for Leicester, isn't there? I think Brendan Rodgers came in, he had a plan, he knew what they wanted to do, and for 2 years now they've gone to the last day to get into the Champions League, and it's not gone their way. That the talent's there to do it. I think it's going to be more difficult this year, but I think they can go close. I think they can surprise people again. They've got a knack for surprising everyone. as to how good they can be, Leicester. So I feel like they can kick on. I don't think they'll be strong enough to finish in the top 4, but I think they'll come in at 5th. Did you say that you had Arsenal at 6th?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've gone Tottenham. I don't think Arsenal can do that.
Ooh.
I feel like there's a bit of a snobbishness to Nuno coming in. Like, I don't think he's that bad. I think he's a very streetwise manager. Like, he came in at Wolves when they were in the Championship. Yeah, they had good connections. They could get good players. He had a bit of financial injection, but he won the Championship. And then in his first year in the Premier League, he got them into the Europa League. I mean, that's an achievement to bring a Championship team into the Premier League and get in the Europa. That's a very good achievement. It is dependent finishing 6th place though, because this Harry Kane situation needs to get sorted out either way. If he's staying, they need him to get back to his best. If not, then they need to get the money they want for him, and then they need to use that to improve that squad. Now, I know they brought Brian Gill in from Sevilla, and they've sent Lamela packing. He's meant to be a good young talent, just won the silver medal in the Olympics for Spain. So he could be a good talent. They've bought Christian Romero, who many clubs around Europe were looking at this year. I think he was one of those defenders that was being heavily touted from last year at Atalanta for his performances. So he could come in and he could really make a difference in the Premier League. And then apart from that, it is literally how high can Tottenham climb with the resources they've got at the minute. And to be honest, I can only see them finishing as high as 6th. I'd be shocked if they get into the top 4 if they finished above Leicester. It's a possibility, but I think they're still lacking Tottenham. I think they've got a way to go, and I think they're just at the start of that with Nuno. So I've gone 6th.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say this before my games to go. Do you think Harry Kane would want to come back in to play for a team, knowing that he's not going to win NHL trophies? Let's be honest.
Well, no, I mean, that's why he wants to go in the first place.
There you go. So,
but if he can't get that move, if for whatever reason it falls flat, I really don't think he does want to tarnish his legacy with the Spurs fans. I think he really does want to do it the right way. But if the transfer window ends and he's still at Tottenham, there's no point moaning about, oh, I should have gone to City, or why didn't I go to City? It's okay, right? We need to focus on this season now because I'm going to be here. So let's just get firing again. And then if he can get the goals and the numbers that he has done for the last 5 years, then Tottenham are going to be heavily reliant on that. So either way, that situation's got to get sorted.
Yeah, all right. I'll just let my games to go.
I actually put Arsenal in 5th and Leicester in 6th. The reason for that is, though, was Leicester, I think Vardy is starting to decline now. I don't think Iñárritu has been bad, but I don't know if he's enough to carry them to that level. I think potentially Maddison could go, and Fofana's just broke his leg, I think. So that's a big loss for them as well. So for me, I just think the fixtures will catch up with them. Arsenal aren't in Europe this time, so Leicester and Arsenal have the same sort of amount of games. So that's also a big factor as well. And I think Ben White might do decent. And obviously, if they sign someone else, that'll obviously be a big boost. And I think even though Arsenal are bad and can be bad, they never finish as bad as you think. So I just think they'll pip Leicester to 5th, but they both will end up in Europa anyway, so it doesn't really make too much difference. But obviously Tottenham, being put in higher up, I think that depends on Kane. So if he stays, I think, yeah, Tottenham probably would be in that. But without him, I think there's a bad dominoes effect of losing a leader, of losing a key player, the striker, the goals, the assists, the ambition of the club. I think everything's affected. So I think that was the big factor for me in presuming Kane will leave. So that's why Tottenham weren't in there and Arsenal and Leicester were. I could just carry on. I put Tottenham 7th because, again, what I just said about Harry Kane leaving, I don't think Nuno's amazing. I don't think he'd do any better than Mourinho. He could possibly do worse. So, and if Kane leaves, I think it'll almost be a transition year where they really have to adapt to a lot of new things. So, for me, that's why they were 7th for not in them Europa League spots. But they'll probably get into Europa winning the conference. So, yeah.
I think it's going to be a transition year anyway, though, for Spurs, right? Because
Yeah,
I mean, you've got a brand new manager in. There's a lot of new faces coming in and a lot of old faces going out as well. So you're getting a lot of transitions into who's actually in the club and in the squad. You've got, I mean, it's going to be a brand new formation because Nuno loves his 3/5 at the back, doesn't he? I can't see him changing from that. So that's going to be a change that they've got to bed in there, and that can take a bit of time sometimes. But I mean, they've still got good players. They've still got good players. With Arsenal, can't you foresee a possible future where Arteta does get sacked mid-season, and then they've got to go and get another manager in?
I think it's possible, but I think them having the Europe and Spurs having a Conference League and the Kane situation, a new manager situation. I mean, it could be a horrific season. But if Kane stays, it could be a lot different. But I think it all depends on Harry Kane. But obviously, the Conference League is going to be a nightmare because they're going to be flying here, there, and everywhere.
Do you not trust? Sorry, Chris. Do you not trust Harry Kane's transfer fee should it come in? Because let's be honest, at this point, you're getting close to it's going to be a big fee. It's going to be near 130, 140 million, right? Do you not?
Yeah.
Do you not trust them to do what they did with Bale, and in the space of a week bring in 5, 6 new faces of quality?
In the space of a week. In the space of a week.
Well, remember with Bale, who did they bring in? They brought in Eriksen, Lamella, Chadley, a host of others.
Okay. And again, the question is, what did they win? You know what I mean?
But they got better.
They got very, very good. But at the end of the day, they came up short. You know,
I think now you get much less for your money as well. I mean, Romero cost nearly 50 mil. I don't think you can get 4. I think you're on about 3 players at most, unless you're just buying players hoping they turn out well at that point. So I don't think you get as much. And I think Kane's assists and goals and leadership and his draw, I don't think many top players, are going to be like, Kane's gone and I'm the guy who's going instead. That's the place I should go. I think they're going to be more like, I've got all I've got is the Conference League. Kane's gone. Does this club have the ambition for me to move there? So I think they're looking at middling sort of players, which I guess can help your depth, but I don't think they will do a lot for the team, especially when you got to bed them in, as well as a new manager, new formation, new competition that they've never been in either. So it's going to be lots to deal with.
If I was Harry Kane, I'll force my way out, because at the end of the day, you're gonna go back to Spurs, get 20+ goals, get the assists to end up not winning anything. So you're going for the cycles again as a top player, and God help Kane, wins. If you don't, let's say Kane don't win anything in his career, what we all gonna say? Didn't win anything. Top goal scorer. Didn't win anything. consistent performance every single season. Didn't win anything. Club and country. Was he won? So that's going to linger over him.
I think we're agreed on a consensus of the fact that Tottenham, it's too much for challenging for a Champions League place this year for Spurs. I think we're all agreed on that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's just move on to mid-table now. So got 8th to 17th. So maybe just talk about who you think's going to be like the top sort of teams in that mid-table bit, pushing the Tottenhams and Leicesters and Arsenals, and who you think maybe the last sort of few teams are going to be just fighting that relegation.
Are we speaking like best of the rest then with these?
I'll just go because we don't want to go for every single position. Just go sort of like the best sort of the rest at the top, and then who you think is going to be in danger and may just escape relegation.
Okay, so hand pick interesting ones then. Cool.
Right. I'll just go quick. I'll just do my top. Okay. I got Spurs 8th, West Ham and Everton. Yeah. West Ham was good last season. They really push with the help of the boy Jay Lings. I don't know who they've got in now to sort of add in that sort of extra firepower. I don't know, but Everton, are they really going to push with those sort of free transfers they got? What are they going to do with Demarai Gray? What are they going to do with Townsend? Who knows? I don't even know who the manager is. Who's Everton manager? Who they brought in? Rafa. Oh, okay. Yeah. Still, I don't even know if Rafa still got it. I don't know. Then at the end, the teams that's gonna like be in the middle of the pack. I've got Aston Villa, Newcastle, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Southampton. Yeah, those are just no disrespect, average teams. I don't know about Wolves though. They might do better, but I'm not sure about the manager they've got. Another Portuguese manager. Who knows what he's going to do. But close to the teams that going to survive, I said Brighton and Watford. They'll survive. Yeah. So I've always liked Watford. I've always liked what they're about. They've got some good players in there. We'll see how they do.
Okay.
That's mine.
Well, I mean, for me, just to pick some interesting points that I've got down. I've got in 8th, just behind Arsenal, I've got Aston Villa. I think there's a case to be made that they've had the best transfer window in Europe. I think this year, I think they've got a big fee for Jack Grealish, £100 million. They've spent that very quickly and very efficiently as well. They've known the problem areas that they've wanted to replace. They've got Buendia from Norwich to fill the Grealish void. Leon Bailey from Leverkusen. He's a player that the big six clubs have looked at for 3-4 years now, Bailey, and for a club like Aston Villa to just swoop in and get it done. I think it kind of shows the ambitious nature that they've got for going into this season without a club legend and their talisman and their Mr. Aston Villa, really, that they've had for the last 4 years. Danny Ings, I think, is a striker that's very valuable, and you know what you get with him. I think they've improved their team drastically, even with Grealish gone. I think they've spread themselves thin, but they've gone with improving the players that they've got in the team. So I think Aston Villa is a strong candidate to finish in the sort of the best of the rest territory in sort of 8th place. I don't think John Terry leaving the coaching staff's going to rock the apple cart too much, to be honest. They've still got Craig Shakespeare in there. He's vastly experienced, isn't he? So I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. I've gone Everton as a bog standard in 11th. I know Rafa Benitez has had his days anywhere. He's surprised everyone with the Champions League win with Liverpool in 05, but I don't see that Everton team amounting to anything pretty much apart from a run of the mill mid-table finish. I mean, they had a drastic end to last season where they finished 10th, and I think teams around them have strengthened, whereas they haven't. So I can't see anything apart from a mid-table finish for them. I've got Leeds 9th and West Ham 10th. I don't think West Ham are going to surprise anyone like they did last year, because I mean, they've got a Europa League campaign now that they've got to fit into the start of the season, so fixture congestion. They're gonna need more than they did last year, that's for sure. I've got Wolves 12th. Again, I think there's an unknown quantity with Bruno Lager coming in. I'm not a fan. I don't watch Portuguese league football every week, so I don't know what his history is like. They could go either way, though. I mean, they could be as high as 8th and as low as 16th. Crystal Palace, I've got in 14th. Patrick Vieira, I'm not sure how talented he is as a manager. He's had some very short stints at clubs. New York City, was it Nice? He was at in France. Didn't really work out. I think he's lucky to get a crack at the Premier League, even if it is with a team like Palace. But again, I don't think they've got the quality needed to get to the high end of the table. Burnley 15th. Again, you know what you get with Burnley.
15th.
I've gone 15th. Yeah, I think there are teams weaker than Burnley this year. To be honest, I think there's actually a lot of very weak Premier League quality teams this year. So I think you're going to get a cluster of teams at the bottom that are very tight together points wise come the end of the season. You'll have your mid-table that's spread out, and then the top 4 in their own league as well that'll split from 5th. I don't think it'll be close. I don't think there'll be any last day drama, really, apart from a relegation fight. Again, I've got Burnley 15th. I've got Newcastle 16th. I think again, other seasons there could be in real trouble, but I think there's weaker teams. The one that I've got a surprise for at 17th is Watford. I think Watford stay up.
Yeah.
This year, I've got us. I know we're moving on to relegation candidates in a minute, but I've got Watford staying up purely because of another team that I think will be a surprise relegation favourite. I don't know about you, McGinty, but
my top ones are actually the same as yours. I had Villa 8th, Leeds 9th, West Ham 10th. I did Villa 8th because the ambition. I think they'll spend that Grealish money well. They've already made some signings that look promising. So I think Villa are the club that show the most ambition at the minute out of them clubs, and they did perform so well last year too. I think 9th for Leeds because I think a year in the Prem will do them good. They can probably adapt his play a bit more, Bielsa, to be, a bit more reserved when the time is needed to be. Because I think they were a bit gun-ho against the big teams especially, and they were just ripped apart. So maybe a few adaptations could keep them, pretty high in the table. And 10th West Ham, I think Lingard was a big part in West Ham last year. And as they haven't re-signed him yet, and there's not many strong links, I think they could slip down to that sort of mid-pack in the mid-table. And also, you never know, Rice could leave potentially. So it all depends on transfers, really. But as they are at the minute, just a middle table team, I'd say. And then you got Everton, Southampton, Brighton, decent teams, but again, I don't think they have much more to go. I don't think they can get much higher than that. And then I've got Burnley, Wolves. I think Burnley just know how to stay in the Prem. They know how it works. They're very physical. You wonder how they're in there, but they always manage it. So, yeah, I think Wolves could drop down with the new manager. Potentially, you could see a Neves leaving as well, which won't do any favours for them. I think they are sort of stagnating a bit, so maybe they need maybe a new manager may even rejuvenate them. I could be completely wrong, but I'm not sure about the managers, but that time will tell with that. And then for the two just above relegation, I've got Newcastle and Brentford. Newcastle always seem to stay up, even when you wonder how. So I've got them staying up. I've got Brentford just staying up in 17th, just because maybe that's just wishful thinking, because I haven't seen them before. And maybe just be interesting to have them another year. And a nice underdog story, a bit like that Sheffield one. Short what lasted, but it was sort of cool. So that's probably more wishful thinking than anything, to be honest. So do we want to move on to the 3 relegation teams each? I think they are slightly different. I think some are the same though.
Do you want me to go or somebody else to go?
You can go then.
All right. Right. 18th, I put Brentford. Like you said earlier, wishful thinking. I hope they stay up, just to see, a fresh team pushing to stay up in the Premier League, playing good football, enjoying the experience in the Premier League, and just putting themselves and the players out there, just putting what they're about out there. But I've put them there just to see how they, just believe that, if they have that sort of belief in them to get promoted, that sort of belief is still going to be in there to try and stay up. In my 19th, I put Burnley. I just don't want to see Burnley in the Premier League anymore. No matter how much they have history in the Premier League or whatever, I don't want to see them in the Premier League.
That's disgraceful, mate.
Whitewash team.
They're like Stoke, mate. They're the new Stoke. We need them. Stoke never coming back.
No, we don't want one-dimensional player. We talk about Klopp playing the same style of play every single game. That's entertaining. What's entertaining about Burnley? Nothing. I could watch Aston Villa be entertained. You know what I mean? So I don't want to see Burnley in the Premier League anymore. And 20th, I'll put Norwich in there. Just go back down. You don't do anything when you come up. What's the point? Yeah, you get the promotion money. Then after that, what did you do? A few years ago, when I was watching Norwich, I was like, oh, damn, jeez, oh, okay. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, going back down. Come back up, go back down. Stop doing the yo-yo. You know what I mean? Look at Aston Villa. Leeds, top teams like that. It's the push to stay up. They don't come up and just not fight to stay up in the Premier League. And also, Max Aarons come to Barcelona.
Well, you would need him to be on the cheap, wouldn't you, to be fair?
Hey, if they're going to get relegated, Max Aarons come Barcelona, mate. They pay you a lot of money and tell you to, to take you to court for 50% off.
Oh, yeah. Can't get taken to court.
Well, yeah, that's
ulterior motives, that play, right?
But that's why anyway.
Right, Dean, do you want to go?
Yeah, so 18th, I've got the surprise relegation favourites that I think could and probably will go down as Southampton. I've got what is it, 2 years in a row now they've been on the battering of a 9-0 thrash, right, by Leicester, then by Manchester United. Losing Danny Ings, that's a big problem that they need to replace adequately. And even outside of Danny Ings, apart from James Ward-Prowse, I look at that team and I think, are you a Premier League level player? That's with like Stuart Armstrong and Jay Adams. They've lost Ryan Bertrand as well, who's gone to Leicester on a free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've got enough this year now to actually stay up in the Premier League. I think this might be the year where they do drop down. and they just have not got enough. 19th, I've got Norwich. Again, I think they're stuck in the yo-yo place where West Brom were 15 years ago. I think they're more prepared. I think being in the Premier League 2 seasons ago, especially that they've still got Daniel Farke as manager, they know what's coming. It's not going to hit them in the face like a ton of bricks this year. But they've lost Buendia. They're probably going to lose Todd Cantwell to Aston Villa as well. Two of their best players. Again, I don't think they'll have enough. I think they will go down. But I don't think they'll go down as rock bottom because I think Brentford will be a one and out team. I mean, obviously they won the playoff final, didn't they? Their first year in the Premier League. I admire their Moneyball style of acquiring players on statistics rather than attraction. But I think this is going to be a year where they truly face the competition that the Premier League has to offer, and I think it'll be a learning curve for them. And I think they'll be better for the experience. But apart from that, I think it's going to be like you're going to need a Huddersfield Town level miracle for Brentford to stay up and have another year in the top flight. And if they, I mean, I'm hoping they do because I love new teams coming in. But I think it's going to be a rock bottom finish for Brentford, and I think they may be on the end of some pastings.
So much negativity, you two. Hoping Brentford stay up, but not even putting it down, mate. Putting it into the universe.
Well, I'm a realist. I'm not a blind optimist.
And I'm a realist. So now you're gonna hear.
We're not Arsenal fans. Sorry.
Oh. So you're gonna hear who is my 18th, and it is Crystal Palace. Now, Palace, they've lost a lot of players. They were very old, and they just couldn't be bothered to sign new contracts. So they've had a big turnaround of players. By the looks of the signings, they don't look that amazing or interesting or that much. I don't see the quality there to replace them. I think Vieira, again, unproven manager. He has had stints here and everywhere, but no sort of long-term success, anything that would suggest to me that he can come to the Premier League and keep up a side that is probably going to be in its worst position in a few years in terms of its team and situation. So for me, I think they're going to go down finally after quite a while. And also Roy, mate. Roy is not there anymore. Roy Hodgson, yeah, he knew how to defend. He knew how to keep it tight, make them hard to beat, and that ultimately, I think, kept them up. They were just hard to beat. They weren't amazing. They countered every now and then, scored a few goals. I mean, how they've stayed up with a striker like Benteke is beyond me. I mean, you might as well have me up front. I mean, probably score as many goals. So I think without Roy, who is an experienced manager, and although he isn't a Pep Guardiola, he knew what to do with that team. He knew how to make them hard to beat. He knew how to keep them organised and just keep them up. I think they're going to go down this time. And below them, Norwich and Watford, because it's just what they do. I'm a bit tired of these yo-yo clubs, to be honest. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. So Norwich will go down, Watford will go down, and hopefully we don't see them for a while because I'm sick of Norwich in particular. They're just always up and down like a fucking yo-yo. I mean, just stay down, man. Just stay down or come up and actually, you know, do something.
They are on the same boat as Fulham as well, man.
Fulham. Oh, I don't want to see Fulham.
Fulham are guaranteed next year. Fulham, you will see in the Premier League next year.
Who went down? West Brom. They could come up. Fulham and who was the other one?
Sheffield.
Well, Sheffield haven't gone up and down, but
Yeah.
guarantee Fulham and West Brom come back up because it's just what they do. So, I mean, based on history, you'd have to say them two are going to go down again. And hopefully they don't come back for a while. I haven't been entertained by... The best thing I've seen from Norwich was Pilkington a few years ago when he mugged off the City team. But since then, yeah, just... I'm a bit tired of these teams coming up and just getting, like, nowhere near, not even close to surviving. So hopefully that's the end of them.
Wow.
I know what you mean about Crystal Palace.
But I don't see
quite a lot of teams that I've got finishing sort of from 14th to 17th. The only reasons that I've kept them up is that only 3 can go down, and there are worse teams than them.
Yeah.
It's what I was saying about. I think there's a lot of poor teams, Premier League quality wise, this year that are in the division, and only 3 can go down.
Yeah, I think though it depends how good Vieira is as well. And they've lost like Townsend, not Townsend. Was it Townsend?
Yeah.
Yeah, Townsend. A few of the older players have left, haven't they?
Still got Zaha.
Wasn't it Van Aanholt's gone as well? And these sort of players.
Yeah.
So I think these Premier League experienced players going and new players coming in who aren't of that quality.
There's reason for Palace to be nervous because the last time that they had such a transition and such a change in management style was when Frank de Boer came in for 6 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he didn't score a goal and they didn't get a point.
They've
There's
lost
reasons for the Palace fans to be nervous, but I mean, Vieira could do really well, he could do really bad, and they bring another one in. You just don't know.
I think though, I think with that Palace team, unless you really nail it and play the right way with what they have, they struggle to score. They're not a team that goes out and scores 2, 3, 4 goals like that. It's going to be a 1-0, a 2-0, maybe a 2-1 every now and then. It's not.
They're going to have to grind results out, aren't they?
So if they have a manager who doesn't drill them, doesn't get them defensively solid, and they're conceding a lot, they're not going to win a lot. They're not going to win a lot of games at all. So
well, remember, Patrick Vieira wasn't the first choice, right? Nuno was the first choice, and it was almost agreed.
Yeah, and I think Nuno makes sense for that sort of project. I think that is the sort of manager you need. The way he plays, you need someone who's defense first and quick counters, and that would have been a good fit. But obviously now, I don't know how good Vieira is, to be honest.
I think it's just another one that you just got to see how we just get this. The first 10 games, we're painting the picture for the rest of the season. So we just got to see how he gets on.
Yeah, but it could easily be 3 teams come up and the same 3 go down. So
exactly,
we'll see. So should we move on to sort of the top goal scorers, etc., for the season?
Yeah.
So we'll start with top goal scorer, as I've just mentioned it. So who do you each pick for the Golden Boot?
For me, for the Golden Boot, I say it's going to be a tough one. Like I mentioned earlier, Lukaku's coming in. He's going to want to have. He's just going to want to have that. Just get the season up and running, scoring goals, making sure he keeps the name as top player, top striker, which he can do. With the players around him as well, he can definitely go ahead to do that. Havertz can be a good addition, good player that they could gel together. Obviously, he's got good wingers around of him, to cross it in. So for me, it's either between Lukaku and Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane, if Harry Kane stays, Harry Kane would definitely want to just say to everybody, I'm still a top striker. I can still score goals and sort of make that point that I'm a top striker. Come for me. Come get me out of this club where I can't win anything. Not I won't say it's because of Tottenham don't have the ambition to win trophies. Just didn't do it. Under Pochettino, I honestly, the way Pochettino set up that squad, you know, Dele Alli was playing well, Dye was playing well, Ericsson was just being world class. I fell in love with that squad so much, and I believed that squad could do something every single season. But they needed that extra, and Harry Kane gave them that extra, but you need another person to be giving them that extra. But it just no one to do that. They came close, but still they didn't do it. But Harry Kane is gonna be, he's gonna do it again. But Lukaku is gonna have something to say about the top goal scorer, the Golden Boot. Yeah, that's mine.
Kane or
Well,
Lukaku?
I can't decide, man.
Well, you have to
I can't
decide.
decide. All right. I say Harry Kane. If Harry Kane stays, Harry Kane. And even though he leaves, he's still going to be Harry Kane, right? I say Harry Kane.
Okay.
But the cock is going to get 15 at least.
Well, I mean, if 15 goals is going to be second in a Premier League Golden Boot race, then it ain't going to be a good race, is it? Let's be real.
Hold on, come on now. It was a few years ago. Vardy scored 19 goals. Come on.
Freak year. Anyway, I've gone Harry Kane, purely because I think his move to City gets finalised late on in the window. I think they'll get their guy, and I think just with the abundance of chances that team makes, he averages around 24 to 30 a year at Tottenham, where much of it's coming from himself. With the chances that he's get, I don't see a reason why he can't break Salah's goal record of 30, what was it, 36, 35? I don't see why he can't break that. So I think Harry Kane, and I think it's going to be by a pretty big distance.
I'll go for Lukaku. Just because a few reasons, I guess. One, Harry Kane always seems to have an injury, so in them maybe a month or two he's off, Lukaku can easily overcome a deficit if there is one at the time. And also, I think City, they never really have a standout goal scorer who scores 30 goals on their own. It's a team where it is shared out a lot. And considering Kane is a creative player as well, I don't think he'll always be going for goal. I think he will look to be a creative player there too. So I think Lukaku, I think Chelsea are the sort of team where they will primarily put the focus on him. They will try and score most goals through him. Obviously, it will be shared out a bit across the team, but I think Chelsea's a team where it is, get it to Lukaku, make it for Lukaku, and Lukaku put it away. Whereas City, I think the way they play, the way Kane is creative, and the amount of players he has around him, I think he will pass rather than shoot when it is best. And also his injury record the last few years, as I said before, could be the thing that does decide it in the end. So I'm just basing that off Chelsea having the season I think they could have, but I could be wrong.
Okay, fair enough. Cletus, top assists. What's the award that they call it?
Golden. Is it plate? Oh, I don't know what it is. Playmaker, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, mine's easy. It's got me Bruno. I didn't know Bruno got 18 goals last season. I mean, bloody heck. Among all the midfielders, he had the highest percentage for shot accuracy. So it shows that he can score goals, and he got 12 assists last season as well. So score goals, he can assist as well. So yeah, it's just Bruno's is an intelligent player. That's why I think you got to put him in the right system. Put him behind the striker. Put Pobbs and McTominay behind him, do their hard work, and yeah, give him the freedom to spread the ball around, work it as well. He's very competitive, which I like from a midfielder. When a midfielder is competitive and they want to win, I like that. Confident taking penalties as well. So yeah, Bruno Fernandez should have gone Barca, but
Wow. I mean, mine's very heavily linked to my Golden Boot winner, so I'm going to go Kevin De Bruyne. I think purely with the fact that Harry Kane will get top goal scorer, I think the majority of those will come and will be provided from Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, we know how good he is. I mean, he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame in years to come. He's that good of a player. I think it just speaks for itself, really. I think De Bruyne again at the canter. To be honest, I've got City running away with it this year, just from the additions. So yeah, KDB all the way.
Yeah, I had the same De Bruyne, just because of the Kane thing, really, and the likelihood of him going. If that doesn't happen, I mean, he can still get it anyway. He was a bit, I think, last year. It wasn't bad, but I think it was a bit of a, for his
got injured.
standards, it was a bit of an off season. But again, with Kane, he's the primary sort of player in that team. Everything goes through him. He will do the long balls. He will do the nice short passes at the edge of the box. He can pass from anywhere to anywhere you need it to be. So yeah, it's got to be De Bruyne for me. Especially how strong City are going to be. So definitely, yeah. But we move on to the young player of the season.
And I find it weird that the maximum age the young players, have to be is 23. I mean, I feel like that's a bit too old for me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a bit too old. I feel like I would have put it to like 20, 2021. But for me, I think it's going to be the man, the myth, the legend. Not a legend, but it's going to be Sancho. I think he's going to be a big addition. We've seen all his stats in the Bundesliga, man. Top assist as well. The guy has been consistently playing well in the Bundesliga, so I have no doubt that he's going to bring the same sort of level of performance in the Premier League as well. He's going to want to prove himself that that he's not just going to the Bundesliga, where you could say it's different in the sort of level of play and different, maybe easier, whatever you think about the Bundesliga. He's gone there to improve, to develop. It's developed. It's played consistently. Contributed at a high level consistently as well. So he's going to want to prove that in the Premier League, and I feel like what happened in the Euros is going to give him that bit of a chip on the shoulder that okay, people might think I can't do this in the Euros. People might think the Bundesliga might be this, because we all know what Premier League fans think of other leagues outside the Premier League. We all know it, and we're always skeptical about players coming in. So even though he's had that, bit of England spell, or whatever you could say it is, but he's going to come in, and I would like to see him perform well, because I like Sancho as a player, and I think he has a lot of talent. He scores goals. He's attacking. and you like to see the self play. I feel like he brings in football these days level of just when you get to the edge of the channels, being skillful, crossovers, and it's dying. Everything is being all too technical for me. I want to be entertained again. I feel like he brought that sort of entertainment into the Euros when he played. So yeah, mine's Sancho, the 21-year-old.
Okay, cool. Again, because they're linked, I've gone for my young player of the year to be Phil Foden. I think, again, City adding to their team, they're constantly improving, they're constantly evolving. Phil Foden, he's almost becoming the face of the club, really. I mean, he's the one standout academy player that has come through and is in the first team, and he looks to be an absolute golden generation star. And I think he's just going to have another amazing year. I think this City team are going to stand out. I think they're going to do something special this year, and I think he's going to get recognised for that achievement with a Young Player of the Year award.
Cool. So for me, I will go for Saka, just because one, I don't think they tend to award the same young player multiple times. I think they tend to avoid that just because, also you'd give it to Haaland every year, you'd give it to Mbappe every year until they're old enough. So I think they may not give it to Foden just because of that, even if he is technically the best that season. Sancho is a good shout by Cletus. But I think Saka, he will be a first teamer all season for Arsenal. If he is their player of the season, and as a 19-year-old, he is young as well. Goals and assists, he could definitely get some, and I think everyone will be behind him a bit more after that sort of England performance at the Euros and the penalty miss and everything. So I think there'll be some more good vibes around Saka next year, more generally across the league rather than just for Arsenal fans. So I can see him doing well. I can see him being almost the main man for Arsenal. And if he does carry that team next season, even though he may not get as many assists or goals as maybe a Sancho or a Foden, I think considering Foden's already won, he could definitely get it just for sort of carrying a team at such a young age and being a likable guy as well, which I think maybe shouldn't be a sort of thing, but I think it definitely is a bit of it anyway. So I'll go for Saka just for something a bit different, but I think Sancho will get it if not next year. So agree with Cleese as well on that one.
Do you think he can overcome his Euros obstacle? Do you reckon mentally he can cope with that?
I
He
think
has to.
I think he
Has to as a
will.
young player. Yeah.
At the end of the day, he did perform so well on that big stage.
Mm.
He was playing in like the semi. Did he play in the final?
What was it? Was it 18 at the time or 19?
I think he's 19. So he's
19. So he
he
has loads of time, man.
no one expected him to be playing the amount of games he was.
Mm. He has loads of time, man. Yeah, I think Saka is a good shout. Talented player, very talented. It's just how hopefully they play him right, play him, in the right system, and everyone is like gelling together in Arsenal. So yeah.
Fair enough. I think he's a special player in his Saka, but I don't know. I think the mental block may may just overcome him this year. I think it may take a bit of time to settle him down again. But
I feel like that mental block might affect Rashford and anyone else.
God, I hope it doesn't.
I think it'll affect Rashford and anyone else.
Yeah.
Because what he's had that injury. Did he not have that shoulder injury?
He had the shoulder injury,
Yeah.
and then he also had that inflamed foot injury as well, where he struggled to even put his boots on.
So it's coming into the season after the Euros, after all the injuries. So yeah, but it's gonna be an interesting season, though. It's gonna be an interesting season.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just had a quick look at the sort of old winners of Player of the Years, and normally it's different players.
For the young player, the Player of the Year.
The young players, but
there's been people who got it back to back.
Fowler, Rooney, Dele Alli. So it could happen.
Yeah, could happen.
So who was your Player of the Years?
Oh God. You know what? Harry Kane.
Nah, I'd go with Harry Kane as well.
Harry
Has he won
Kane.
it before?
Yeah.
I think Harry Kane will, just because his goals and assists.
If he does go to City and he gets the goals and they win the Prem again, he will be seen as the missing piece. He will be seen as the one that takes them to that next level.
Of course. And if he goes to City, he's going to be even as hungry to get that Champions League for them as well.
Yeah, I think Champions League's a whole other video.
Yeah.
But can we all appreciate big boy Bruno Fernandez? Because although he isn't been picked for top assist or top goal scorer or best player of the season, I think he is second in like almost every category. So
exactly, I think he gets the numbers. I think he'll be one or two short on pretty much all of them.
if there was no Harry Kane, he could be number one. Genuinely.
Oh yeah. Of course.
I just feel like we have to put that out there because he needs. His numbers are just insane. Oh,
But
I thought a good one to finish on. Obviously hasn't closed yet, but who do you think the signing of the season is going to be?
What a surprise, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
what if we limit to signings so far? Because obviously, if Kane doesn't transfer, then none of us have got any actual signings of the summer seasons, have we? So,
you know what? I'm gonna. No, I don't know.
I mean, from a United standpoint, I'd probably go for Raphael Varane if he performs.
You know what? I'm gonna say Leon Bailey for Aston Villa. Leon Bailey for Aston Villa. It's a massive steal for them. Massive.
I'm interested to see how he actually does at the top level.
Me too.
Well, I mean, you could argue that he's not at the top level.
I mean, like a better league that might just inflate his numbers, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they always say that the Bundesliga is the one where it takes the most adjustment to get used to English football. So if that's the case, then it may take a bit of time.
But yeah, I think I'd go for Varane just because if you look at the price, he's cheap. If you look at his quality, he's incredible. And if you just look at the club context, it's exactly what they need United. So I think from different levels, it's a great signing all round, however you look at it. Thank you all for watching the Premier League preview. We'll be back next week after game week 1 to review what happened. So like, subscribe, leave us any comments of your opinions, and watch out for them big games like Leeds versus United and Tottenham versus City for the first week. I'll see you all next week.